Why you need the Sandy Petersen's Brown Jenkins edition of the Cthulhu Mythos for your 5e game, and not one, not two, but three giveaways. Come on back after the break. Hey everybody, welcome to the show, Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to the tabletop gaming hobby. And in this video, we're looking at the Brown Jenkins edition of the 5e rule system for Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos. It's a Brown Jenkins edition. See, little Brown Jenkins, he's just hiding right here on the cover. Just hiding right out while the big Cthulhu's off in the background. Brown Jenkins. And let's just say, I'm definitely putting my money where my mouth is here, because I'm telling you, you need this book for your Dungeons & Dragons 5e games, because this is going to breathe lots of extra life and lots of extra fun into your game system, because we all know that Dungeons & Dragons is almost 50 years old, and being a 50-year-old game comes with lots of great bonuses and lots of, well, let's call it not so great things, because the game does get a little bit long in the tooth. We all know that having a great game that's 50 years old is fantastic, because you have this wonderful rule system that's been around forever. It has things that we're used to, old standbys, the mighty warrior, the wizard, the cleric, the priest, all those different things, all those tropes that we know, all those tropes we know and love. But those tropes that we know and love can also be a double-edged sword, because we all know how hard it can be to bring surprise, intrigue, and interest into our 5e games, because we've been there, we've done that, and we pretty much know what's going on. All of us beleaguered GMs know the feeling of trying to tell a story or a scenario where you say something like, your wagon breaks down in the swamps. As you are pushing really hard to break the wagon free from the struts that are stuck in the mud and everything like that, the horses are winning. They are starting to act scared. They're starting to get a little bit skittish. Off in the distance, you see this horrible humanoid start rising out of the muck and the mud, and all the horrible swamp-like water starts dripping from this rubbery green. And the moment you say green, rubbery skin, every single person in your party knows exactly what they're fighting. The wizard starts yelling, acid arrow coming online. The fighter yells, I'm grabbing a torch and I'm lighting it. The rogue starts yelling, maybe there's some acid running around here that I can coat my blade with. My dagger will be destroyed, but hey, at least that troll is going to be destroyed. And that's one of the big things about the Dungeons & Dragons game. As great and wonderful as the game is, it is getting a little bit long in the tooth. And Sandy Petersen's for 5e seeks to bring in a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of surprise, and oh, that old good time magic from where you're back when you were starting to play and everything was new and everything was wonderful and everything was a surprise. Oh, and everything was a challenge. Now, if you like the content I put out there, leave your comments down in the YouTube comments down below. You can also feel free to email me at off-the-shelf board game reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. Also, this channel is 100% sponsor free. So think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. Just $1 in the tip jar over at patreon.com/otsbgr can help me keep bringing out constant content for you all out there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Your subscriptions do matter. Now, back to Sandy Petersen's 5e. But what about the giveaway, you say? Yes, I do have 3 giveaways I'm going to be giving out here, because like I said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is here, and I'm going to give away this Brown Jenkins edition of the Sandy Petersen's 5e edition of the game. I'm going to send this out to anybody in the United States. I'm going to cover the shipping for this book anywhere into the United States that you may live. Unless you live in like some really rural little community where I have to pay a carrier pigeon and somebody on horseback, then you're out of luck. I'm sorry, I just can't do that. This channel is 100% self-sponsored and self-funded. I can only go so far. But on top of that, I am going to be giving away 2 of these coin sides right here. Now, you may be asking, what exactly are coin sides? Well, coin sides are a really cool, interesting take on dice. And even for Magic players and people who play those collectible card games, it can also be a life counter. Now, well, I don't do too much of the Magic the Gathering gameplay here, but I definitely do the RPG stuff, so dice is something I'm definitely always interested in. So how do these coin sides work? Good question. The coin sides allow you to do a different way of rolling your dice, because these are double-sided coins, and these coins are heavy-duty, solid metal, and they have the ability to spin. Coin spin, nothing too cool about that, except for you can also use these coins to be dice, because all you're going to do as a nice, interesting way to have something different on your gaming table, instead of rolling dice all the time, because we know how the dice just kind of fly off the table, why not have a coin-sized die, which you simply just spin and put your finger, and whatever number is directly to the left is going to be the number that you need, and that's the number you roll. Now, you may be looking at this and go, wow, what kind of dice can I have here? Well, you can have everything from a D4 all the way up to a D20. And if you want to be really cool and a little bit different, heck, you can even do weather patterns here because you have north, south, east, or west. Or if you're the indecisive adventurer, you can say, we go... looks like we're going south, everybody, because that's what the coin size says. Nope, never play D&D like that, but hey, if you want to have fun, you can definitely do that cool thing. But I'm giving away 2 of these coin sides, so that's a total of 3. 3 giveaways we're going to go ahead and give here. 1, 2, and 3. That joke's going to get old, I can feel it. 3 total giveaways here. 1 for the Sandy Petersen's Brown Jenkins. I'm going to give away 2 of these coin sides to different viewers. Now, how do you go ahead and win these things? Well, this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why the Cthulhu Mythos is going to be a fantastic addition to your RPG game for the 5th edition of D&D. So while I'm telling you why this thing is so great, here's how we're going to go ahead and do this giveaway. Very simply, you leave a comment in the YouTube comments down below because the YouTube analytics love comments, and I love your comments too, and I do read all your comments. And if you've been a subscriber here for a long time, you know I do my darndest to respond to all the comments on my channel. But this is what we're going to do. If you leave a comment down in the comments down below telling me and everybody else here something about the 5th edition of D&D that you feel has grown a little bit too long on the tooth, something that's a little bit too, been there, done that, or just something you would like to see change in this game that's almost 50 years old, leave your comments down below. The top 3 comments, whether it happens to be through thumbs or everybody just says, yep, that's something I would love to see change. The ones who give the top 3 comments, each one of you is going to win something different. The most liked one is going to get this Brown Jenkins edition of the Sandy Petersen's 5e for Dungeons and Dragons. Number 2 is going to get one of these coin sides, and number 3 is also going to get these coin sides. But now let's back to exactly what we're all here to see, exactly what Brown Jenkins brings besides 513 pages of gaming goodness. On top of that, over 500 pages of gaming goodness, we have a wonderful price tag of $30, over 100 new Mythos monsters to add to your 5e games, 26 great old ones, the Outer Gods that come included with them, plus 4 new playable races, new spells, an entirely new magic system, new classes, new possibilities for your classes, new subclasses, new, well, let's just say new everything that's going to come in this game, add more variety to your 5e games. So I'm going to break this video down basically into 2 sections. The first section is going to be for the GMs and what can the 5e Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos do for your 5e games. I'm going to break it down into a player section so you as a player can see what exactly it adds to your 5e games. So one of the hardest things about being a GM is creating a really comprehensive, a good campaign. A long campaign that's going to be something that the players want to play, something the players are going to enjoy, something that's going to make the players want to come up and belly up to the table again every other week when you get together with your friends. And that's one of the great things that this actually can do and really, really help you. Now, we all know that cults are a very popular thing in D&D. Heck, Wizards of the Coast has done it twice now. We've already had the Cult of the Dragon, and we've already had undead cults. And they've had entire campaign rule books written off of cults. So we know that cults make a fantastic enemy. So how easy can it be to build a campaign using the 5e Mythos? Well, let's just use a really good example. Let's just go ahead and pull up the Cthulhu Mythos Brown Jenkins edition. Turn to page 183. Why 183? Because Wendigos are kind of cool. And let's do a better version of the Icewind Dale campaign just by using the wonderful thing that happens to be right here in this book. So let's go ahead and turn to page 183 right here, and we're going to see the Cult of the Windwalker. Now the cool thing is this is going to tell us a whole bunch of stuff about the Cult of the Windwalker. It's going to give us all the history on it. It's going to tell us how they exist, basically what they're trying to do. And this is going to tell you exactly how they basically work. And this is going to tell you basically how to create a campaign. Because one of the easiest ways to go ahead and create a campaign is pick a big bad guy. Pick this big bad mean guy, which is going to be the penultimate, the thing that the heroes are working together trying to go ahead and fight, to hunt down, and go ahead and defeat. Well, if we go ahead and look at the Windwalker cult scenario right here, just go ahead and building this right here for a good Icewind Dale campaign, we can go ahead and see this section right here called Gifts of the Windwalker. Let's go and look at this thing. We have cannibalistic healing. Man, we can probably throw that in somehow. Frozen flesh, howling wind, true ferox, and the great transformation. Ooh, great transformation. That sounds like a final bad guy. Let's go and see what it says right here. It says, rare and difficult. This gift begins the process of turning a Wendigo into a Windwalker Wendigo, page 474. Let's go ahead and look at page 474 and see exactly what we are going to get there. By the way, I love the artwork here in this book. It is some of the really great thematic artwork. Some of this artwork is absolutely fantastic. Even if you were just to take this book just for the 100 new monsters in here, the new abilities, new powers, the strange ways that they're going to go ahead and mess over the players. And oh yeah, I'm going to cover that in just a few moments here. But if we turn to page 474, we see a Windwalker Wendigo right here. We can go ahead and look over here and see the challenge rating is 16. That kind of sounds like a penultimate bad guy for a campaign, at least to me. I don't know about you, but most of my campaigns kind of go to about level 14, level 15, and by then, you know, we're about ready to move on to the next campaign. And a level 16 challenge rating bad guy sounds like a wonderful beginning to a really good campaign. So we go ahead and look over here. It has legendary powers, it has actions, it gives the background, it tells you what you all see here, a whole bunch of cool things, and look, we already have our main bad guy right here. So let's go ahead and flip back to a little bit further about the cults of the Windwalker right here, and we see that there's a couple different extra things. So we can take all these things basically that we just read right here and we can turn this into a full campaign. Let's have it like this, just kind of spitballing it right here just to come off the top of my head. So don't expect this to be the grandest 200-page of writing ever. Let's say that we have an Icewind Dale campaign going on right now, and we know Icewind Dale isn't the easiest place to go ahead and get food and get supplies. It's a harsh environment. Winters are horrible. It's really hard to survive there. So let's say we have a small village who decides that, well, the food supplies aren't just cutting it up to snuff. There's a joke in there somewhere, I know it. But let's just say that they don't do that, and somebody decides to fall to a little bit of cannibalism. Probably not the greatest thing to do, but hey, it intrigues and gets the interest of the Windwalker. And then suddenly, by reading all this information, we find out that the bad things that happen from cannibalism, and then we find out that maybe a cult is going to get established. And they decide that they're going to go ahead and create a Windwalker Wendigo, and we know what all that entails by reading this little section right here. And hey, we have the basis here for a pretty darn little bit of a campaign. Again, it's just the bare bones, but I have an idea. I have an enemy. I have a bad guy. I have a cult objective, because you know these are three things you need for any good campaign. Any good campaigns needs a who, a what, a where, a why, and a how. And I just need to cover these 5 things. I got all these things just from using this Brown Jenkins book right here. So let's see if we can take this rough skeleton of an idea into a campaign. Stick with me here, see what you think. Let's go and start with just the old standard heroes aren't an inn. Why? Well, because it works and because I'm doing this quickly just off the top of my head, and it's the best I got right now. The players are inside the inn and suddenly they hear a scream outside. For some reason, besides the fact that they're heroes, they decide that they're going to run outside and they see what they think is some kind of ghoul or strange creature trying to devour someone in an alley. A little bit gruesome, but hey, a little bit gruesome. And don't forget, in medias res is always, 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 except when it's not, the best way to start a campaign. Well, the players don't know that this is just a total red herring to get the heroes to go ahead on the wrong path and start hunting down some ghouls, maybe at the behest of the town watch, who is having a little bit of trouble with some ghouls in the graveyard anyways. Let's throw another red herring in. They're just using a race from this book right here, using the ghouls from this book. Let's say there happens to be some not quite so evil Mythos Ghouls have moved into the graveyard and have nothing to do with any of these Wendigos or this cult of the Windwalker or anything like that. They're trying to get on with their life, and hey, maybe they managed to work out a deal where they're going to take care of the dead, and maybe they do something good for the town, and maybe that causes some more conflict and some more friction. Conflict and friction is always good in a campaign. While the heroes are working on dealing with this little bit of a ghoul situation, the cult is slowly growing and seeking to evolve into a Windwalker Wendigo. Now we see that there's a whole bunch of possible bad guys we can use for a situation. We can use just barbarians as an enemy. Hey, it's we're in the frozen north wastes of the Icewind Dales. Barbarians are a great enemy. We have all the magic items and the suggestions just in this little section from the Windwalker section of the book right here. All this gives us a whole bunch of great, fantastic ideas to go ahead and start a great campaign. And heck, you have my permission. Go and steal all of it. I just came up with it at the top of my head. Now you've seen how easy it is to just create a campaign using just what's inside this book right here. And that's great for the GMs and the DMs out there. But what is good about this for the players? Well, we have a whole bunch of new additional options for players. We have 4 brand new races in the book right here. And some of these races are actually pretty darn interesting. A little bit more macabre, more darker for some of them, but they can also be some really great ideas depending on how you play your RPG games. There's actually options in here for the Dreamlands Cat, and you don't have to use the more alien-like Dreamlands Cat. You can also use more of the standard Dreamlands Cat. And let's say the players want to do something to be a little more interesting. You can actually have one of the players play one of the familiars for one of the other players who happens to be a sorcerer, basically anybody who has a find familiar spell. But the cool thing about this is the other player can actually play the familiar, and there's rules in this for them to level up and be their own little PC character, a full-fledged character, a Dreamlands Cat, with their own powers, their own abilities, their own personality, and all that stuff, but some nice cool bonuses because it actually has rules for a player to create a familiar that is going to be powerful, just as powerful as any other character, with some actual extra nice bonuses that they get for being the familiar for the other sorcerer, wizard, whatever at the gaming table. Additionally, we also have some more player options for all of our players. We have extra paladin oaths for the fact that you can be the Oath of the Awakening, which is basically a palabard, bardadin. It doesn't work either way, but a really cool idea for a new version of a paladin who is using the power of the Dreamlands, the ability to influence dreams, and the really cool thing is the power of psychic damage. Now, psychic damage isn't something that you get to see too much when it comes from players. Players get to experience psychic damage quite a bit, and that's always to the much of the chagrin of the local barbarian. Imagine you have a barbarian and a paladin in the same group, and your paladin happens to be a crusader of the awakening. Then you have a really good dynamic duo. Again, there's a joke in there somewhere, who can go out there and do some more different things, because you have your barbarian who has their resistances, and now you have a paladin who's also resistant to psychic damage. Something that's actually really hard for players to go ahead and find the ability to do. What if you as a player want to play more of a put an R in the role-playing for an RPG and do more of a role-playing campaign? How about doing a little bit new roguish subtype when it comes to the subtype of the roguish researcher? Basically, if you ever want to play a Sherlock Holmes style class and you actually want to play a real RPG with lots of role-playing and lots of intrigue and lots of interaction this way, not so much based on combat, well, here you go. This is a fantastic way for you to go ahead and do so. And you could actually make an entire campaign where all the players are playing roguish researchers, maybe one player, maybe something a little bit different, but you can have more of a court intrigue and more of a campaign where you're going to have players who are doing more of a whodunit. Have more of a offshoot where you're going to have like various different bad things happening. The players need to solve the mysteries, solve the crimes, whatever they need to do for the big old grand who did it. Or how about something a little bit different? How about a rogue with all the trappings? Literally, because we now have a rogue and set the traps and everything like that. We know that most of the time when players play a rogue, players play rogues because of the backstab. Well, backstab gets quite overused and it kind of gets a little bit boring, which is one of the cool things that I've been trying to press upon you with this book right here, is the new options that now get added in here. How about having a rogue who can put their stealth and their sneaking abilities to good use by using their stealth, their sneaking, and go ahead and exploring up ahead a little bit, and if they see a bad guy, they can go ahead and set a trap. Now, these traps aren't super overpowering, but they can add some more tactics, some more strategies, and give some more benefits for the heroes, and more ways for the players to do more things than just, I roll a 20 setter, I hit, I roll for damage. I roll a 20 setter, my spell lands, I roll for damage. This gives the players more tactics, more strategies, and more ways to use other abilities than swinging the sword, or for the rogue, stabbing somebody right in the back. Now, all this wonderful gaming goodness comes in a very small, very nice Brown Jenkins edition, which has all the full content for the full book. You have the Chapter 1, how to use the book, Chapter 2, Mythos Players, Chapter 3, brand new player character options, Chapter 4, rules about insanity and dread. And this is the final thing I want to cover before we go ahead and close out this wonderful little look at the Brown Jenkins edition of the Sandy Petersen's 5e game. Sanity, insanity, and fear and dread is one of the things that Dungeons & Dragons has never done really that well. If you go ahead and look at the Insanity rules in the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons book, in the DMG, I think it's about page 100-ish or something like that, the rules in there, they're not too bad, but they're not really fleshed out that great, which is really unfortunate. What if you want to play a really good horror campaign? What if you actually want to use Van Richten's guide to all the stuff with Ravenloft, and you want to have a little bit of dread, and you want to live a little bit of horror? Well, the Cthulhu Mythos can give you a wonderful, really great and really nice rule system for using insanity and also using dread in your games. And it doesn't just have to be in the Cthulhu Mythos rules. You can bring these rules into other campaigns and make a really fantastic Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft style campaign where the player is going to have to deal with the dread, deal with the insanity, and deal with the evils of the world over in Van Helsing. No, I meant Van Richten's. Oh my gosh, I almost went really totally off track there. But in Van Richten's Guide to go ahead and bring out some really fantastic dread and horror and have more of a dread horror style campaign, which I think is what really does Ravenloft the most justice. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video looking at the Brown Jenkins and giving a wonderful giveaway here. Now, go ahead and leave your comments in the comments down below. And again, we're going to go ahead and let everybody vote on this. If you see a comment down in the comments below that you think is deserving of winning, give it a thumbs up. Matter of fact, I'm going to give Sandy Petersen, if he's willing to do so, I'll send him an email. Hopefully this is something he's willing to do. If he's willing to go also in the comments here and go ahead and leave comments on some of the ones that he likes the best, and I will use that to help influence to decide who exactly wins this edition of the Brown Jenkins for Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos. A fantastic addition to any 5e game, which is going to bring lots of new fun, new enjoyment, break out the old sad stereotypes that we get from our 5e games. This 50-year fantastic great game that has a little bit of things that we've seen one too many times. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of horror, a little dread, and a brand new amount of variety with 100 brand new enemies to add challenges and great difficulties for all of our players to go ahead and interact with.